Okay, life update video. When we moved here to California, I didn't want to have to apply for a homeschool affidavit. And so we decided to enter, we're still homeschooling, but we're doing like an academy, a private school. It's like an online charter school. And the California schooling requirements are super stringent, especially compared to Missouri, which doesn't regulate homeschooling at all. And so when we came here, all of a sudden, everyone was like super behind on everything. And the reason why homeschooling worked for us is because we did everything together. It was like, okay, guys, come for science, it's time. And we would do a science lesson and like all work together. And obviously like the assignments were age specific, but the material that we were covering was everybody. And even some, like, especially the older kids would do more, also like research or like in-depth study, but it was still the same topic and it was still the same prep for me. Same thing with history, same thing with like literature comprehension, like family read alouds. Math was different, but even like the electives, like the field trips that we went on, the co-ops that we did, we still don't have a co-op group here, which is so weird for us because that was like the basis of our homeschooling and I loved it so much. That's how we made friends and everything. We still haven't found like a homeschool community here. And it's just a really different way to homeschool because I have to, or I get to, because we signed up for it, follow the structure of the school and like the timing and the curriculum and everything is according to what they think is best. So my kids got to experience like standardized testing for the first time, and so they were like each evaluated in that way, and it was just so it was just a different experience for us. And I mean, obviously, like we weren't studying California specific history, like we weren't learning about the Native Americans that were in this area before the colonists came and stuff like that. So like we're all of a sudden behind in all of these ways. And so I have like 5 preps for history and 5 preps for science and 5 preps for math and 5 preps for English. And they each have like all these Zoom classes. And because of the state testing, like because of where they were placed, they each have like specific things that they need to like get to grade level about. And it was an incredibly frustrating process, especially for our oldest, because we had applied, they were going to be going to the community college in St. Louis. But when we put the house up for sale and everything, they had to stop. And then when we came here, the school said, oh, we don't do dual enrollment. Like dual enrollment isn't allowed until you're 17 or something. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But there were so many other things happening, whatever. Well, apparently it's called concurrent enrollment here. And so we could have, as soon as we got here, we could have put our oldest in concurrent enrollment with the local community college, but no, instead we tried to like jump through all these crazy hoops and like do all this stuff. And so we like lost a whole semester. And then now with everything with the program, it turned out okay. Like with the eating disorder program that we're having to be in, it would have been too much to try and take on like a full college load in addition to all of those changes and whatever. So, I mean, obviously everything works out. It's fine. But it's just like that conversation with the school counselor was the reason that I homeschool. She was so dismissive, just not listening, so just patronizing. And it made me like, oh, wow. Like they can literally delegitimize not only homeschool education, but also any other state. Like if any other student moves to California from out of state, those classes are either deemed legitimate or not based on California standards. And so that child either has to, like that student either has to retake those classes if they want to be considered for California universities. They have to retake those classes or just not be eligible for college. There's some cases where it's like, okay, if you took algebra 1 in Missouri and you take algebra 2 here in California, that kind of like vets that you can do algebra because you took a California algebra 2 class. But it's still just like who are these people? And I was super concerned about the politics of the area too, of just like everything is so political. And our oldest also said that like the first English class that we took online was just like, oh my, this is so politically charged. I had no idea. And I was like, I was trying to explain where we're moving is just like really political, but you can't know unless you experience it. Like there's just something that is so beneficial about living lots of different places to see what normal is, because we even talked about it. Like if we had grown up here, you would have just thought that's what's normal and you wouldn't have been able to see how slanted it was all looking through like this one specific lens. And who gets to choose that lens and all this stuff. So that's been a huge learning curve that our family is having to get used to, hours and hours a day of online learning. Whereas before, like they had to do 5 chores to get screen time. And now it's like part of school. Like they have to do, 20 minutes of this, 20 minutes of this, 20 minutes of this. And like it's all, and then they have these classes that like they're an hour long twice a week. Some of them have 2 different ones. And so there's like 4 times a week. And I mean, just all this stuff. So our whole like way of life has shifted. And I mean, there's good and bad about every place, right? Like there's good things, there's positives and negatives with everything. But that was just a huge change for me in the midst of weaning our baby and, moving across the country. And because, I mean, I just finished weaning her actually just a couple weeks ago. So, but just that process of moving from having a baby to a toddler and moving across the country and continuing my own healing journey and, our oldest entering this program to overcome anorexia nervosa and, trying to get into the groove in this community with church and neighbors and just everything. Like it was just so much. and something had to give. And so it was my YouTube hobby. But I could feel my throat just like there's so much that so many experiences, I mean, countless experiences that I was just like, I want to share this. I want to share this with someone. And I just needed to focus on getting all of that in line so that our family could, like, so many times when people were like, so how are you doing? I'm like, okay, do you actually want to know? Because I feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water, and in fact, learning how to hold my breath like really well for a really long time because it was just so much. And I'm a really high capacity person. Like, I can do a lot, I can handle a lot, but so many people gave me the feedback of like, how are you doing all of this? Like, yep, it's a lot. So, yeah. But I had just super awesome moments throughout all of it that were just so encouraging, and like, if I need, I absolutely am safe within myself and with my holy ones. Like, I know, I am sure. But who doesn't love some encouragement and like support along the way, you know? And so I had several of those moments, you know, receiving a package in the mail, getting to do a class that I mentioned this in another video, but my husband and I got to teach a class together about animal messengers to a room full of people. We got to share these just amazing, wonderful experiences. Like, you can't make it up when animals come to you in real life, like out of nature, and give you a message. It's just absolutely miraculous, phenomenal. And to get to share that with my husband, and for him to be in a space where he can do that. It's such a gift to me. And I got to go to I'm just checking the time. I got to go to a yoga class with a friend who we've been friends since the last time that I lived here in Southern California. And we've been like through a lot together. And so I went to this yoga class on the winter solstice with her, and it was so incredible. There was a couple of times when I didn't get to be fully in the meditation because my pelvis was like, and so I had to readjust or whatever. But there was this one point in the meditation where she asked us to open our hearts and to get into this heart space and open our hearts. And I tapped in, I tapped into this place that I don't often get to go right now. And my chest exploded. I couldn't house it all. And so I just tried to open myself up and share with everyone around me. It was just this brilliant, vibrant green light that I was just flowing out of me from this place. And I could feel the teacher acknowledge, whoa, was that you? That was you. I could feel her energetically acknowledge that I was having this experience. And so after it was just glorious. And so after the meditation was over, she was like, so does anyone want to share an experience that they had? And I felt her kind of nod to me, and I didn't say anything because I don't know. And I'm not even sharing the full experience here, but it was so personal and sacred, but also so powerful. Like there was no way that I could hide what was happening, and especially for people who are like energetically in tune and spiritually in tune. And so I was like, well, I had an experience, you know, when you were talking about the heart space, and I just shared like very briefly and like what I felt was appropriate to share. And she thanked me for that and was like, you know, I can tell that you have a very deep practice, and I honor the gift that you have given us all today by sharing what you were able to tap into and receive. Hey, I'm just making a video. I'll be done in just a second. And so then after the class, my friend introduced me to her, and she said, I know you. I know you. And I was like, not in this life, sister. And she was like, exactly. And she just like gave me this big heart hug. And my friend was like, see, I told you. and she was like, oh yeah, you know, we're soul sisters for sure. Like she's whatever. And it was just so, so beautiful to me to be seen in that way. That's not something that I get to participate in very often, because my whole world is my husband and my children. And so they see me as their mom and their wife. And I don't tap into those other aspects of myself very often. And it's okay. Like I love my life. I love learning, and this is a different way, but it's good. It's all good. And I'm trying to think of what else. It seems like there's 50 billion things. But hopefully I will get to share more often again now. And so I don't have to share it all in one video. I hope you're well. My heart goes out to you. Shabbat Shalom.